By Odin's beard, AussieVerse is back. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. And tonight we are here to discuss what we read January. Thank you so much for joining us with your hard-earned time. We know there is a lot of other YouTube channels and a lot of other TV shows and movies that you could be doing, or even not watching anything and just spending time with your loved ones or by yourself playing games. And you're here watching us. That means the absolute world to us, and we can't thank you enough. If you are watching and you're not subscribed, subscribe. Why aren't you? This is a good show. We like it. I'm OmniBeau, joined by SingleIssue Steve, Spedsy Rob Lisle, and Morio Ryan Moore. How are you, boys?
Good, thanks. Good. Good to be here.
Very good, thank you. Hello, please.
Hello, please?
Yes.
I thought he said hello, police. I thought he was getting swatted live here on the show. Hello, police.
That make for an interesting episode.
If you don't want to watch long videos, go to TikTok where you can see shorts that we upload quite often. And if you want to interact with us, come on the show. If you are a writer, creator, illustrator, inker, or just have a collection, or none of the above, and you just want to be on a show and talk to people that have like-minded passions, hit us up on Instagram at _AussieVerse, where you can also hit us up for the same reason or different at AussieVerse for life. Last but not least, you can also check out on Instagram our graphic designer, A51_designs. And as always, we are proudly sponsored by the Australian lovable hub of Comx. Go check all of that out. Now, what we read January, we are going to start here with let's see here. Oh, that didn't work. I was trying to pick you. Spedsy, go for it, my friend.
Yeah. G'day, man. I've never talked before. Well, hi. Yeah. So I believe I'm meant to show you things that I've read in January, right? That's the whole thing. Well, all right, get ready, strap in, man. Do you like depression? How good is it? So this one, as you can see, I'm not too far in, but it's what I'm reading at the moment. It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth by Zoe Thorogood. It is a look at someone's, it's a biographical comic book dealing with mental health and whatnot. And golly, first of all, the artwork is absolutely beautiful. It takes you in on a mad trip throughout this writer-illustrator's brain. And it's a wild ride. And if you have a little bit of a horrible attention span, which this kind of deals with, it's actually a little hard to because it's maybe not a linear storytelling sort of, I went to the shops and then an alien came and then it's a little sporadic and whatever. So you need to strap in for this one and give it some time. But I think it's well worth it. So, do yourself a favor or something. Next up is an Australian indie comic called Longhead. This is by a lady called Millie Holton, written and illustrated by Millie Holton. Now, it's a collection of comic strips with somewhat of an overarching story. Longhead is as advertised. He has a long head, and that long head gets him in all manner of trouble. He's particularly smart, long head. And for instance, here's the tale of him being mistaken for an egg, and when his mum cracks an egg that he thinks looks like him, he starts bawling his eyes out. Childhood trauma. How funny is it? Here's another one where the sword of Excalibur is buried in a rock and they can't get it out. Longhead comes and uses his butt and pulls it out. So that's the sort of good times you could get yourself into. Later in the book, the second half becomes the story of What Man. Now, I don't want to spoil What Man's journey, but he is the antithesis of Longhead. He has a vicious streak to him, but a bit of a childhood trauma himself. How did he get that dint in his head? Well, that page is particularly hilarious, and I will not wreck it. But let's just say his dad used him as a footrest. It's hilarious. Next is a beautiful smelling book. Remember when we were kids and you used to get newspaper printed comics, like your comics were printed on newspaper and they smelt good, and you opened them and you're just like, yes, you smelt it. I don't know what the deal is with this printing method, but it smells delightful. Also, the art is exceptional. So it's called Apocalyptic Girl by Andrew McLean. And beautiful stylized art. And it's as advertised with this one as well. It's a girl and her cat trying to survive in the apocalypse. And that sort of thing is written for me. That's the kind of shit I love. I love a woman protagonist fighting her way through the apocalypse, throwing a cute animal, and some stylized art. Look at that shit. Look at her riding that motorbike. And that giant robot in the background, that's what she lives inside of. Really good.
Wow.
Really, really, really good.
That's cool.
Now, Bo, I hope you've got some plastic pants on, because I've got a comic book that I don't know if you know exists, or you do know and you've read it 1,000 times. I don't know. But this is right up your alley. It's comics and it's pro wrestling. This is the story of Andre the Giant, the life and the legend. Nice, thick boy. It's a thick boy, this one, much like Andre himself. However, it is a fast read. The balloons are sparse, and it keeps you... I think I read this in 1 40-minute sitting. Not setting. The setting was my bedroom. The sitting was actually lying down. But yes, it's a somewhat comedic telling of Andre the Giant's rise to fame, and it's heartfelt. It's look at that. It's just it's a take on wrestling and life growing up in wherever Andre grew up. I can't remember.
France.
I mean, I only read it this month. But yeah, check it out. It's delightful. Who is it by? It's by Box Brown.
I actually own that, and I still haven't read it. But now that I know it's a quick read, I might have to do that soon.
Yeah. Well, look, Mick Foley said this book will thrill longtime fans of the man known as the eighth wonder of the world. And then last, but surely not least, now this is a little self-serving, this one. But I got this in the mail. It's a copy of Airhawk. Now, this is a comic book by John Dixon. Now, unfortunately, John Dixon passed away just a few years ago. But before he left us, he assigned Nat Carmichael of Comic Oz to go back and re-release all his old stuff. So this is the first of a bunch of re-released issues that came out like before I was born, basically. Here you can see this cover was originally done and colored while John was alive. Inside is a secondary cover that I was able to color myself. Nat commissioned me to color the illustration of John's. So being able to, add my silliness to a legend of Australian comics was a pleasure and an honor. And yeah, so thanks to Nat. Thank you to John. Well worth checking out at Comic Oz and Nat Carmichael. And I believe that is me.
Good on you, mate. I like those books, man. I haven't heard of most of them up until actually, the only one I've heard of is Andre. So that was cool, man.
Well, there you go. Get your face around them. That's my catchphrase for the show now.
Okay, it's me. All right, I don't have a lot to show, but
hang
first
on.
one I want to show you.
Sorry, I forgot to say, if you do want to see Spedsy at all, please go to Instagram where you can check out his work. He has some great artwork there. If you're not sure who he is, please go check him out because he has some great comics on the Comx website, plus his own publishing house, which is Psycho Janitor. I went blank for a second.
Yeah.
Psycho Janitor. Go check it out because Rob has some great stuff. I personally have them in my collection as well, and I've talked about them.
And as we like to
many
say,
times.
get your face around it.
Sorry, Steve.
That's all right. Look, I can't draw, and I don't have a shop, so I'm going to talk about some stuff that I have. So, firstly, I got this issue of Rebirth. Everyone's going to go, oh, look, he's got another Green Lantern book. There's a fucking surprise. Well, this one's different. I've already got Rebirth, but it comes in this beautiful slipcase. I love it. Like, this is a really good story, but to have it in a nice hardcover, I love the artwork. Really, really cool. Obviously, I've read this a couple of times since I got it. Thank you. Very good.
Yeah.
The other one I'm reading at the moment is Hell on Earth, which is a Superman one. Haven't actually read this one before, but this is really interesting. It's about another Kryptonian who rocks up on Earth. Sorry, I know you can't see me, but you're not missing much. And he's basically trying to talk Supergirl into going back in time and re-establishing Krypton as a planet where Superman and Superboy are actually trying to stop him. So that's a good read. And the other one, I'm going to go somewhere a little bit different. So I picked up probably my all-time favorite book. Now, I've actually had this book for 33 years. Yes, I am that old. But for those of you who might know a little bit about Forgotten Realms and Dungeons and Dragons and all that sort of stuff, this is the first book in this series. I've already knocked this out again, and I've read this probably a good 20-odd times. It's a book called Homeland by Bob Salvatore, or R.A. Salvatore, which is based on the Forgotten Realms character of Driss Do'Urden, who is a dark elf. And he was actually going to be in the Dungeons and Dragons movie, the most recent one that came out, but they couldn't get licensing for it, and that's why they chucked a paladin instead of Fizz. It's a really awesome series. It's about a guy who doesn't fit in with his own community and decides to go out and comes out from under the ground. So for those of you who don't know much about the Dark Elves in this particular universe, they live in a city under the ground called Menzoberranzan, and they worship a spider goddess called Lisle. And he decides he doesn't want to live with his community anymore. His family's trying to kill him as he's trying to escape. And he meets some friends and actually becomes a Dark Elven Ranger on the surface. So it's a really, really cool series. There's lots of other Driss books around. He's actually probably one of the most popular characters in this whole Forgotten Realms thing. So if you do like a good read, a good fantasy read, this is a great first start. I would highly, highly recommend checking that out. And something also, oh shit, we're copying stuff off. Not book related, but my son and his girlfriend decided to give me a bit of a joke present for Christmas. I haven't had a chance to show this yet, but they sent me this.
That's wicked.
So I have my own little plush Green Lantern.
Oh, that is fantastic. Turn it around because it actually, it actually looked like a picture, not a plush toy.
No, it's a plush. Look, it's got as much guts as I have. Look at it, all spongy around the middle, just like me. But yeah, that's just a weird ass present, but I love it. So, and that's it. I've spent most of the time just demolishing this. So, but check it out, guys. Really, really good series. Homeland's the first book, and you've got Exile and Sojourn, which make up the first three in the series. Really, really good read.
Have you read any of?
Over to. Sorry.
Have you read any of the Terry Pratchett? I think that's his name. The series of elves and things like. He's got like 6 books. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
I've got about 15 or 16 of his books.
Yeah, man. I read
Terry Pratchett is great.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a flat planet that flies through the back of space on the back of 4 giant elephants that sit on top of a space turtle.
And is it just me, or is one of the biggest draws in Superman comics? It might just be me, but I love it when there's someone else Kryptonian new, because that just seems it always sucks me in, like Bizarro. You know, they're the only 2 sort of Superman villains that always want me to read them.
Yeah, it makes you sort of stop and step back and go, where the hell did this come from? This has never been mentioned before. So you kind of go, oh, this is really tweaked my interest and I want to read it. But yeah, Hell on Earth's a good read too. I'm almost finished it, so that's a good pickup.
What do you mean there's a whole bottled city of them?
Yeah, correct.
And that brings us to the man with his own YouTube channel. Go check him out. You can find it right here, Mr. Morio. He has his own gaming channel, which is pretty cool, man. He's got some great videos there and some reviews on games and things like that. Before you quickly shout out your reads there, mate, give yourself a bit of a promo.
Well, yeah, you can find me at youtube.com/Mr. Morio, and there I do video essays breaking down gaming topics and games themselves and how they're made, and
Good
gaming
enough.
history as well.
Take it away, mate.
Now, I've been very slow with this one. So, over about a period of 2 years, I was slowly making my way through buying all of Invincible. And I finally finished it, and all I can say is, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't really expect where it was going to go. It was an amazing read the whole way through. It knew exactly when it needed to wrap up, and it left you wanting more.
Yeah, yeah. Have you guys read Invincible?
Nah.
Oh, dude, it is
Little bit of it.
It is so good.
Like, Steve, you'd really like it. I reckon it would tickle that little Green Lantern itch you've got in Superman as well.
I reckon Rob would like it a lot too, man. And like, as you said, the ending, wow, like, didn't expect that at all in a good way. Really good.
Like, it's really standalone as well, which is a good thing about it. You can just jump in and that's all you need to read. Yeah, another book I've been reading, another indie, Many Deaths of Layla Starr. This is a book where I just bought it and I was like, oh, I'll get to it eventually. And then Sharif was talking about it and he read it. And then I went, okay, I guess I have to get on this at some point. And then I found a moment and I was like, all right, I'll give it a read. And I read it from back to front. From front to back, I mean. Not back to front. I read it from front to back in one sitting. It's only 5 issues. Just the premise of it had me there. Because it's just, what if Death lost her job and the only way to preserve her job was to kill a little kid?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good
and
family
it gets
story.
into a lot of morality and like it gets into a lot of morality around and philosophical elements around death, because she'll constantly see this kid throughout his life, see him develop. You'll see his important moments.
Yeah, man, that's on my must read. I need to get that book.
Highly
It's a really interesting
recommend it.
concept.
Like, it's one of the best indie books I've read in a while.
Yeah, cool. And the covers are extraordinary as well.
Yeah, they're really, really good. There we go.
The original ones, a lot of them were quite shiny as well.
Wow, yeah.
That's pretty.
Yeah, it's a really sketchy art style, but it suits what the book is going for. And then lastly, this has been like my long-term read, or I'm just reading a bit every so often to eventually get up to date. It's going to take me forever. That's One Piece.
No. Yeah, you're going to be there forever, man.
I'm about halfway.
Oh, okay, cool. There's only like, what, 500,000 volumes?
There's like 110. There's
Sheesh.
110 and I'm up to 46.
Wow. That's a solid.
But yeah, it's got everything you could want in a story. It's got a theme of friendship, terrorism, independence, adventure. It's got everything you could want in a story.
Are you watching the Netflix show?
I did watch a bit of it, but then I started reading it instead.
Is the show any good?
I'll probably go back
Yeah, it's
and
been
watch
asked.
the show now that I'm further in.
So it's a
What'd you think
good
of it,
show?
though, from what you saw?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Really faithful to the books.
Yep. Sweet, man.
And I don't have it handy, but I also read Spider-Man Beyond. That's a book where I really liked the concept and thought, this is a pretty good read, but I felt that it needed to be expanded out a little bit more. Like, because the concept is just Peter Parker gets injured and then Ben Reilly is contacted by the Beyond Corporation to become Spider-Man in Peter Parker's place. And it could have dealt a bit more with the rehabilitation of Peter and the downfall of Ben Reilly and all the corporate shenanigans of the Beyond Corporation. But outside of that, it was a good read.
Anything with Ben Reilly, mate, is an absolute winner. We all know that.
Yes, we
Especially
do.
when
How many
they
times have we been
assassinate
told?
his character.
Well, he's coming back
Don't go
soon.
there.
Chasm's back in pod
Yeah.
form.
He will not stay as Chasm for long. He's got to come back as good old freaking best superhero in the world, Ben Reilly.
Best superhero. Those are lofty words.
Don't tell me it's subjective. I'm right.
But yeah, that's me.
Good on you, mate. And Green Lantern, yeah.
Oh, sorry. We were talking about best superhero. Oh, how did that get there?
Rob, who are we sponsored by?
We are sponsored by Comx, my friend. Comx is a one-stop shop for Australian comic books. Why would I read Australian comic books? Because they tell stories. I could have just left it there. They tell stories. But a lot of which, there's plenty of different flavors, mate. Have you ever gone to Avian City? It's like a land of birds, but they can't fly. But then the one bird that can fly, he becomes a detective. He's Detective Budgie, and only he can solve some of the biggest crimes in Avian City. That's just one book of many, many weird and wonderful tales waiting for you at the Comx shop. How do I get there, you ask? Well, you use the internet, and up the top there, you type Comx, C-O-M-X, dot, that's not D-O-T, that is the literal full stop on your keyboard, and then shop, S-H-O-P. And yeah, and there you will find all manner of books from all over Australia with one flat shipping rate. All the comics come flat, and as does the shipping rate. So you can get one comic, 20 comics, it'll all come beautifully packed in one box, one rate. What are you waiting for? Get your face around it. Yeah, g'day.
This show is sponsored by the Comx shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. We hope you enjoyed the show.
And now
I thought that was the end.
No.
I hope you still enjoy the show. I was like, oh, wow, we're out of here. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've still got to tell speak about what I've read. And as usual, I've been doing a lot of digital reading. Starts to make me wonder why I have this room. But I keep saying to myself, it's because I am so behind on current comics. I'm waiting to say that I can catch up on my favorite superheroes being obviously Spider-Man, Venom, Punisher, Thor, Daredevil. And once I'm up to date with all of those, then I'll start reading some physical books. So what have I read? The first thing that I am going to talk about is Contest of Chaos. Now, this book started in the Scarlet Witch annual number, whatever it was, and then it continued into about 7 or so different issues of our annual issues. And it is a great premise, but it doesn't really... I'm putting my fist up and you can't see it. It doesn't really get there. The premise is that a sorceress is taking control of your favorite superheroes and getting them to fight against each other for a reason. And it's sort of like the contest of champions, hence the name. It's a throwback to that, or a little bit like Secret Wars, I guess, without anything to do with multiverse or worlds colliding. But it's all right. Some of the fights are better than the others. But here you got Moon Knight, and as soon as I click that image, I've gone blank of who the other guy is there. But I think he's from that Asian Marvel universe that's been created in the last couple of years, or that's come into continuity. What's the word?
Continuity.
Continue. The same thing as with Spider-Gwen and White Fox here. Look, it's not bad. It's all right. But for something that should be a big event, something that gives us on the premise of what we as fans love, which is superheroes fighting each other, don't lie, you love it. It doesn't actually really stick the landing as far as I'm concerned. But it's good. It's not bad. What was better than that, though, was the recent one-shot of Werewolf by Night that came out. This was a very enjoyable read. I really liked it. One and done. It's got Elsa Bloodstone and Werewolf by Night going on an adventure that they weren't going on together. They were going from separate angles, and they end up meeting each other and taking down a baddie and having a little bit of love at the end of it. And I love Elsa Bloodstone because she's so full of attitude and she just gets the job done, man. Which is why in the show Werewolf by Night, as much as I was upset that she wasn't all in orange and an orange hair, I just hit myself. I'm hoping that she comes back in some form of another because she's a good badass character that deserves more screen time. Next is Ultimate Invasion by Jonathan Hickman. What is Ultimate Invasion? Didn't the Ultimate Universe die and end? It did. But Jonathan Hickman is bringing it back, baby. And here we go. It is the Maker, which is the evil Reed Richards, has somehow been able to get the Ultimate Universe kickstarted back up again. And instead of it just being a boring story where the Maker just recreates the Ultimate Universe, he is smarter than that. And he goes back in time and he stops all the superheroes from ever being created or born. So that way he has complete control over this new universe. However, that doesn't last. This is only the first issue, by the way. You find out there is a big, big conspiracy that the Maker has done, and the only person that's sort of kind of cluing onto it is Howard Stark, Tony Stark's father, and it is classic Jonathan Hickman, where it is very, very dramatic. There is a lot going on, and I really, really suggest pulling this one out because I think the Ultimate Universe moving forward is going to be something very, very exciting. On a side note, I did also read the first issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, and man, was that a killer book, bro. That was so freaking cool, man. That is a completely new Spider-Man, a completely new universe in this Ultimate Universe. Who you think is alive is not. Who you think is dead is not. Who you think is good is not. It's just, seriously, you need to check out Ultimate Spider-Man.
So Miles is dead, Peter is alive?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so come on, man. They're never going to kill Peter and Miles properly forever. Those two are...
In this, so it's a new Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
Because Miles Morales left the Ultimates to join the main. So who is... Are you allowed to tell us who...
Yeah, so...
Who's under the task?
So in this Ultimate Universe, for example, you have Peter Parker, right, who exists, but he never got bitten by the spider.
So this is the brand new Ultimate Universe.
Brand new, right?
Okay, right.
But it has some ties, little bit, to the old universe. from reading only 2 issues so far, I don't believe you really need to have read any of the old Ultimate stuff, because Peter Parker somehow becomes Spider-Man again in this new universe. But he's about 30 years old and he has a family, so it's very different. I'll give you one clue as to the who's dead and who's alive twist on things. Aunt May is dead and Uncle Ben is alive. And Uncle Ben is not the same Uncle Ben that you may have thought would be. Like, when you think that Uncle Ben, if he's still alive, you might think of this nice old grandpa fellow that gives Peter advice and all of that. And that may have been true. No, he's not bad. But because it's 30 years.
He's a prick.
No, he's not a prick either.
No,
but he's just not the same Uncle Ben that you would assume. Neither is the Green Goblin, and it's not Norman Osborn. The Hulk is quite different too. So far, the only character that seems to be exactly the same from the Ultimate Universe is Thor. He seems to be very, very similar. The same.
Even then, there's a little twist with Thor.
What's that?
So instead of Odin or Thor being in charge of Asgard, it's currently Loki.
Oh,
and Thor is
true.
In prison.
That's true, actually. Yeah, good call. So go check it out, man. If you don't want to buy the books, go on Marvel Unlimited and go check them out, because it's pretty cool, man. Up next is this book by Jonathan Hickman again, which is called Gods. I have no idea what is going on in this book. None. I don't know how to review it because it's all new characters. It's meant to solidify the very high up echelon of the gods of the Marvel Universe. But I think I'm going to stop reading after the first issue, wait for it to all come out, and then read it at once. I think that's the way this needs to be read, because it is very, very full on, and it's a little bit confusing. And if you're like me, where you read a book, let's say Invincible, like Ryan pulled out, brand new universe, brand new characters, I much prefer reading a chunk than one a month, because it gets me into the characters a lot better and a lot easier. Where when you're trying to get into a new universe and new characters, reading it slowly, for me personally, doesn't really work. I need to read, like a whole trade or a hardcover for me to actually sink into it. I'm sure it's going to be great because it's Jonathan Hickman, but man, what the hell is going on? If people can simplify gods for me, please put your comments in the YouTube, not in the video. I don't know how you do that. Put it in the comments of the video, because that would be a lot easier. Last but not least is I finished this Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky. And man, do I love Daredevil with a beard. He is so freaking cool, man. Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil, like Daredevil's last, 4 runs, have been one of the best things that I have ever read in my life. This doesn't disappoint whatsoever. This is absolutely freaking amazing. It is freaking cool, man. I highly suggest reading it. You want Kingpin, you want Punisher, you want Elektra, you want drama like you wouldn't believe. You want violence, man. Daredevil goes down like not a path. Well, he goes down a path that's pretty dark, but he does some stuff to some bad guys, man, that I'm like, wow, I wouldn't expect Daredevil to do that. And it solidifies that Daredevil is abso-freaking-lutely the Batman of Marvel. It's always been a little bit of an argument, who is Marvel's Batman? And there's a couple of people that throw around different names, but I don't care what you say, man. Daredevil is Marvel's Batman. And I've started reading the first 2 issues of Daredevil's new run by Samad something or other. And it's a little different, because one of the traditions with ending a Daredevil run is the writer always ends the run by putting Daredevil in a situation that is really, really hard for the next writer. And the writer basically turns around to the next writer and goes, haha, tough shit, deal with this. And the next writer has to take over and deal with that. So he's doing all right. I think it's going to take a few issues. It's the same writer as the mini-series of the Inhumans Black Bolt. Now, if you're not an Inhumans fan, which I don't think a lot of us are, Black Bolt was one of those solo mini-series that was absolutely amazing and astounding. And it's underappreciated, and it is really, really good. And it made me put this writer on my radar and go, okay, this guy's got some talent. So it's Daredevil anyway, so I'm going to stick with it. But I'm just hoping it gets a little bit better than the first 2 issues because, yeah, we'll see. And that's all I got, guys. Questions, comments, qualms?
Arms.
I had a few qualms, but then I don't want to be that guy either. But the contest of chaos and you saying it not quite got there, I get a little bit frustrated. That's kind of why I stepped away from Marvel for a little bit. I do plan to return at some point, but just the outlaying of money to keep going with it, and I'm guessing those were $4.99 American, those Contest of Chaos ones. I just for me, just as COVID happened, I was working in the comic book shop at the time, so we went into lockdown, so I wasn't around comics nonstop, and Marvel had just wrapped I think it was called Empire, EMPYRE. And I don't want to bury it too much because I love the writer. I love the writer that I'm just sparing his name because I'm going to rag on the book a little bit.
Was it Sloan Ewing?
Ewing,
yeah. Well, that's I was trying not to say it because I don't want to be just like a hater, but because I love Superior Spider-Man. It's one of my favorite runs ever in Marvel Comics, maybe in just comics. So I love Dan Slott, but Empire was so expensive, and it was just so not it for me. It wasn't for me. And then just COVID happened at the same time that I was just like, you watch a TV show, and it essentially doesn't cost you anything, so you can give it a few episodes. And when they say in comics, you read issue 1, you sort of you kind of got to make a decision there. Because not many of us like to drop off at issue 3. Do you know what I mean? Because then you've got these random, number 1's nice to have, just to have. But then, if you're at number 3 and it goes to 6, then you're sort of I may as well just get all of them. And before you know it, you've spent $110 on this series that you didn't like. The Contest of Chaos was a bit triggering for me, and you saying it didn't quite get there. I was just reminded of it might look like I only have these shelves, but in this renovation, that cupboard, there's a cupboard around that corner. My wife had big plans for that cupboard. It is full of short boxes. This room here is a toilet. Well, this is a toilet. This has got high ceilings. And I asked the builder, I said, rather than have a high ceiling in a toilet, could we put a small ceiling in it and then have storage at the top? And he's like, that's a great idea. Yeah. What will you put up there? And then I pointed, because this used to be my garage, which was wall-to-wall short boxes. What's my point? Just that I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on comics. So Contest of Chaos was a little triggering for me to hear that you didn't love it. But at the same time, inspiring to hear that there are still plenty of good Marvel reads. I love Chip Zdarsky, and I love Daredevil. So that's obviously waiting for me at some point. So yeah.
Good
Marvel
to hear,
books
man.
in general, they're all just so expensive now. They're creeping up to that $5.99 point. Ultimate Invasion was $10 an issue for 4 issues. Nope.
Wow. See, that's why with the collection that I have, I had to make a choice. It's either going to be continue to buy this stuff or single issues. I don't know. Like, obviously, everyone's life is different and the money that they're on and the jobs that they do. But for me, it was about the money and the room. I didn't have the room to continue buying single issues and collected editions. And I didn't want to spend them on both either. So from now on, man, it's digital for my single issues, collected editions for the ones that I want.
Yeah, something weird. So, yeah, to go on about this renovation thing. So I live in a fairly small house, 3-bedroom house. And when me and my wife bought it, there were just 2 of us. So I had an action figure room. We had our bedroom, the action figure room, and my office comic book room. And so I had wall-to-wall comics. Then the action figure room, I had my PlayStation, and then shelves and shelves of action figures. Now I have 2 children that require those rooms for their own collections of shit. And when the garage where all my stuff was stored became now a room, for the first time ever, I was actually a little embarrassed at how much stuff I had. My son is moving into what was my wife's office, which was once my office before COVID. And so we never changed it over. So it was still walls of action figures. So I had to take them all down. And my wife said, "What are you going to do with them?" And I said, "I don't know." She said, "You should sell them." And I said, that will be a full-time job for the next 3 months to itemize all this. I said, "I'm just going to put them in tubs." So we went to Spotlight and bought 2 tubs. I promptly filled those tubs immediately and was like, I need 2 more tubs. I got 2 more tubs and I filled those 2 more. I bought 6 tubs. And so they're in my shed. I don't know if they're going to survive next summer. And yeah, I still love them. But it's just, I can see the draw in digital and collect the spines ones with the ones you love. And then, just my son will have a short box for a pillow. So, and a couple of old issues for blankets.
I just want someone to come up to my house one day and just be like, "I'll give you this amount of money for all your single issues." And that way, see you later. I can't be arsed doing singles, man.
Yeah. And as we talked about as well, with the internet and digital copies and all that sort of stuff, you can't smell the internet. I know it sounds weird, but like this 33-year-old book that I've got, it's got that whole yellowed pages and that whole beautiful smell of a book that you don't get when you're on the internet. If you're sniffing the internet, people are going to wonder, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, that's true. And Comx is meant to be my break from the screen. I work all day on the screen, and then you play video games.
It's holding it. It's physical.
Yeah. So I'm arguing against myself right now, because I want to read like this, but at the same time, I have to fit humans in this house as well. So
but see, the other good thing about digital is that if you read like I do, right, you got the book here, and you read really fast like I do, and you go, "Oh yeah," and you read it right, you can actually miss some of the art and what's going on. Where with digital, you zoom in on every panel, and it actually makes me concentrate more on what's actually going on. So that's actually a bonus for me.
Yeah, I read all of Ultimate Spider-Man Miles Morales on Comixology or whatever it was years ago, and it was like nothing I'd ever like. I did the panel by panel thing, and I had no idea what page I was on. Every panel was a page turn of just like, "Whoa, holy shit, whoa!" So, and I read that on my phone in bed. Like, I can totally see the draw of that, and the artwork. Like, lots of artists, they're at least colored digitally and stuff. Like, it's optimized for a screen now, so it looks bloody beautiful as well. But yeah, much like your Forgotten Realms, Steve, I have a bunch of David Gemmell books, and Waylander is my favorite book from when I was young through to now. And I have 2 copies. One that's my one that I've been reading since I was 16, that is yellow, and the spine, you can barely read what it is. And then it got re-released 10 years ago or something, and I bought it. Its spine has not been cracked. It's over there on the shelf looking great. So I got my reader. I've got my... So, yeah, I don't know what I'm even arguing for.
Well, good on you. If this is the first time that you have seen a What We Have Read monthly video, they're not usually like this. It's usually pretty cut and dry. We usually just go through what we've read and we all go away. So I hope if you have stuck around for this long one where we have gone on a few tangents here, Thank you very much. And again, please subscribe. And in conclusion, Single Issue Steve, what is AussieVerse?
It's for life.
That's right, my friends, for life. We'll catch you next time.
For skin. I mean, for life.